People are the best here. People have like the soul, you know. We found that the quality of life here is very good. The quality of food is very good here. In the United States, everyone has the attitude of everything is possible, you can do anything. And here, nothing is possible, you can't do anything. When I first came and I didn't understand anything of the language, I always thought Meli's parents and family were fighting. I said, like, what are they fighting about? Oh no, they're just talking about what's for dinner, you know. I see her mother walking down the hall carrying the jezva, and I see her go into the bathroom and put it in the toilet. I'm looking around thinking, did she just take water from the toilet for coffee?
Ukoliko želite podržati naš rad, besplatno se pretplatite na naš kanal.
I actually grew up in the country, not in the city. It reminds me a lot of Bosnia with the mountains and the vikendice. Everybody had like this kind of thing, and so I feel like that the land is very similar to where I grew up. I went to school first in Vermont, then in Montreal, Canada, and then I did a graduate degree in Manhattan.
So your parents or family, they're all back in?
No, actually my parents moved here 2 years ago. Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Really?
We went back to the United States for the first time with the children, and we were staying with my parents a lot, and they got very used to being around the little children, and they wanted that, and so my mom just said, we're going to move to Bosnia. So they packed up, they sold almost everything, and they moved here 2 years ago, and now they live up the street from us.
Seriously? And
Yeah.
how do they like Bosnia?
They love it, yeah. My mom especially, she's really thriving. Like, she was living kind of in the suburbs, driving everywhere, was kind of bored a lot. And here, she's all over town going to buy her breads, going to the market. She knows all sorts of people. She has her meat man and her veggie woman, and so I think it's really good for them. And then they get to be grandparents too. I moved to New York in 2004, into the city. And in 2008, I met Meli, my beautiful and talented wife. And I didn't know where Bosnia was at that time. Like, she told me she's from Bosnia. I thought maybe it was near Russia or something. American education system is not the best with geography. I thought she was very exotic, and it was very interesting. And so, we met and we dated and fell in love there. And then I was working as a teacher, a high school teacher in New York. So every summer I had 2 months off, and all of her family was here. So we started coming like 14 years ago in the summertime for a couple of weeks to see her family. So I really came here a lot, every summer almost. Came to Bosnia, traveled around Bosnia, went to the seaside in Croatia, and we were living in New York, but every time we came to Bosnia, we would stop somewhere, like a layover in Paris or Amsterdam or somewhere. And we thought, as we were getting older and more serious and thinking of getting married, we thought maybe it would be good to live in Europe, be closer to her family, still close to my family, somewhere in between. But right when we got to Europe, we found out we were pregnant. So we came here to Bosnia. Meli's mother is a doctor, so we had some support here. We had our baby. Then we traveled for 1 year with the baby. That was our dream, to do that, and we did that. And then we got pregnant again when we were living in Lisbon. So we came back. Now we had 2 babies. The pandemic happened, and so we were stuck here for a while. And during that time, the children started their schooling. They were getting the language. We got used to life here, and we decided we have to decide to stay in Bosnia with the children or to go back to New York. Going back to New York seemed like it would be really difficult with little children. It's very expensive. It's very, it's kind of unsafe and crazy. And here, life was very good with the children. You have nature everywhere. People were so nice to children. And so we decided, let's give it a shot. Let's stay. Maybe not forever, but let's see where it goes. And at first, we were working remotely, a lot of weird hours at night and things like that. And then we decided, okay, if we're really going to live here, we should do something and be here. And so we decided we wanted to open a business, which we had always wanted to do. And we thought around of a bunch of different ideas. And then a friend of ours actually gave us the idea to open a bagel shop. And at first we were like, no, it's, food is very difficult. And but the more we thought about it, we thought Sarajevo and Bosnia needs more food culture, from around the world, and this is something that we know really well. And I grew up eating bagels. We love bagels. We thought, oh, we could bring something new here that nobody has had, or not a lot of people have had locally, and that all the foreigners and a lot of people would be excited to have it. So that's where the idea for NYC Bagel came up. And in 2023, we opened.
When you compare life and the quality of life, like everyday life, now you're a family man, you have kids. How do you compare living in Bosnia versus living in all these countries, including USA?
Yeah, I mean, everything changes when you have children. Like, you know, I think when you're young and you don't have children, like New York is the place to be. And I miss that life a little bit. But since having children, I couldn't imagine it there. I have friends who have children there. It's very expensive, very hard, and I don't think it would be very fun to try to make it work there. So for us, where we're at right now, this is a really wonderful place. It's a small city, but that still has lots to offer, everything that you need. And you know, in 15 to 30 minutes, you can be in these beautiful mountains. You can go sledding and skiing. You know, it's much more affordable. And so for us, we really love it. There's other countries like Lisbon, like in Portugal, that we really loved. But we didn't have, you know, we don't have citizenship and paperwork, and so that would have been really hard to stay there. So we really enjoyed traveling, but in the end, we had to decide between Bosnia or America right now.
Was it hard to make a decision to open a business in Bosnia?
It was and it wasn't. We didn't really have another choice. Like, we looked at jobs, we weren't really finding jobs here, and so we wanted to stop working remotely. And after the pandemic, everybody wanted you to come back to the office, and so some of the remote work was more difficult. And so without having like a really good idea what job to do here, we decided our only option is to really like go for it and to start a business. And luckily, Meli is wonderful with people and the language, of course, and handling everyone from my store to designing the place to all of the businesses and facturas, and so she really does a lot to make it happen. This country is packed with potential. You have from the beautiful nature to these old gorgeous buildings, if they were given a little love and fixed them up, to very educated, talented people here in the city. There's almost everything is new. Like, there's not a bagel shop, there's not Thai food, there's not a lot of things, and I feel there's not specialty coffee everywhere. And so I think that like all of that is coming, and really the city can only go up, you know. I mean, ako Bog that nothing bad happens and it goes down, but I think it really can only go up, and it has so much potential, and we are betting on it getting better and building our life here and our family here, that it's going to keep growing, and if everybody adds a little bit, it will grow, you know. But the mentality is a little different than the United States, you know.
Tell me about it.
In the United States, everyone has the attitude of everything is possible, you can do anything. And here, nothing is possible, you can't do anything. But we never listened to that, and I think because Meli and I had spent so much time living outside of the country, we had the idea that like everything is possible, you know, it can be done. For example, the mural that we did, people said, oh, they're not going to let you do this. The Opština is going to say you can't, or you're not going to get an artist to do it. And I just kept working on it and meeting the right people, and we made it happen, you know. Yeah. In New York, say you can make lots of money. Everybody knows that. But people there are working till 9, 10 o'clock at night making that money, you know. And here people have more of a balance between their work and their life. Here you can go to a vikendica in 30 minutes and be in nature and have roštilj and enjoy your life. Yeah. And there, just to get out of New York, it would take you 3-4 hours in traffic. Who can afford to have, a cabin and all these things? And so we found that the quality of life here is very good. The quality of food is very good here. The ingredients are good here. And a lot of people come in and visit and talk with us, and they start to think, wow, you know, maybe I could make a life here. You know, we're seeing more and more people think about coming back here if they've left or starting a life here. And we meet a lot of people here who are digital nomads, who are working just remotely, and they've chosen Bosnia because it's a really great place, it's affordable, it has great food and great people. There's a lot of interesting characters, and I'm like, while they have no connection to here. They just, somebody told them about it and they chose it, you know. One thing we noticed when we went back to the United States is that you have to really look at all the ingredients. There's chemicals, there's preservatives, the bread has sugar in it all the time, and what we do here at NYC Bagel is 5 simple ingredients. There's no sugar. And even in New York in bagels, people kind of cheat and they put sugar in to make the bagel sweeter and use all this. So we source our produce from local farms, organic farms, wherever possible. And that's not so hard for us to do. Here, there's a lot of great like small farms that supply you. I always say to people, the difference between like a krastavac, a cucumber, in America, it's like nothing. And here I can smell across the room the krastavac, you know, and same thing with paradise and, you know, with tomato is, the quality of food here is excellent, you know. And the eggs there, the zamienio is very white and, you know, and here it's so dark and healthy and good, you know. What's nice here is you know somebody who knows the chickens and knows the meat and knows the, you know, the farm, and you get your ingredients, especially outside of Sarajevo. I really love the, you know, the Bosnian coffee, the jezva and filjan. Like this experience is very sweet. All of the foods are an experience, like going to have cevapi and it's smoking and roasting and everything. And Meli's father taught me to make cevapi myself on the grill, and so now I'm the cevapi guy making it. So to me, all of those things that are traditional are really special. Meli's mom making the pita with oklagia and the flour, and you know, this to me is you can't get something like this anywhere else. So I think all of the food experiences are very special. Driving throughout the country is amazing because in 1 minute it's like snow in the mountains, and then the next it's like hot and rocks and dry. There's sheep walking around. Even here in Sarajevo, if you go like 4 or 5 streets up the hill, there's like goats and farms, and like it's really cool. For me here, everything is like, I say it's like grandma's house. Like everybody's making jams and giving you like things as a treat and making rose water and elderflower, and there's a lot of like very sweet, special things that are happening, and making their own honey and giving you honey, and I just love this.
What about people?
People are the best here. People have like the soul, you know? Like in New York, where people have been through some hard things, you know, a lot of like hard stories. They're also like the funniest people, and they make fun and joke all the time. People are very generous, and many times people have offered me to come into their house and have coffee and eat food.
Did you experience any weird things?
Well, definitely when I first came and I didn't understand anything of the language, I always thought Meli's parents and family were fighting. I said, like, what are they fighting about? Oh no, they're just talking about what's for dinner, you know, because they just very loud and very aggressive. And then the other thing is that being a father here is a little different. I think it's changing, but traditionally men are not as involved as they are in the United States. So I was on Vilsonovo and hanging out and talking to 2 guys, and they were saying that it's different here as a father. I'm playing with my children, and I said, what do you mean? And they said, well, it's Saturday, you're here with your kids. If you were our friend, we would be making fun of you right now. Like, look at you, like, what are you doing with these little children on your weekend? And for us, for my mentality, it's like, of course I'm gonna be with them on the weekend. So all of that's changing, but I think the old mentality is different, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you a funny story. I don't know if Meli wants me to tell this story or not, or her mom, but I'm gonna tell it to you anyway. Okay, so I come to Bosnia very first time, I think, and I'm at Meli's family's house. I'm just sitting there, everybody is doing their own thing. They go into the kitchen, they're gonna make coffee. I see her mother walking down the hall carrying the jezva, and I see her go into the bathroom and put it in the toilet. I'm looking around thinking, did she just take water from the toilet for coffee? And I'm sitting there like, what's happening here? So I sit there, and then she goes into the kitchen. Meli comes back, and I say to her, I just saw your mother go into the bathroom with the jezva and put it in the toilet. And she says, yeah, of course. And I'm saying, what do you mean, of course? And I'm saying, that's disgusting. And she's saying, how is that disgusting? So we were not communicating. So I'm saying, it's gross. And I said, the toilet is for the toilet, not for coffee. And she's saying, she flushed it. She kept saying she flushed it. She's telling me she flushed the grinds, the toes. But I thought she's saying she flushed it so it's clean for water. And so I'm saying, I don't care if she flushed it 100 times, it's gross. And I'm freaking out, and she's like, what are you not understanding? And then finally I'm like, okay. And then I told her, okay, fine. And then I told her, I thought she scooped the water from the toilet. And she said, no, she's just dumping the toast. When she told her mother that I thought she had taken water from the toilet, she was so embarrassed and died laughing. So that's one of the stories that I remember. Just thinking, I guess that's what they do here, but...
That's a funny one, actually.
Because it's pretty normal. It's pretty normal to dump the funniest part was that eventually I said, okay, I'll drink the toilet water.
Oh, you were ready to drink it?
Yeah, I said, well, okay, she's boiling it, so whatever.
All right.
It was a big misunderstanding, but...
Do you regret coming to the place?
No, I never regretted coming here. It's a special experience. I always feel like I know what my life would have been like there, and I had a career that I loved as a teacher, and I miss that. I know what my children's life would be like there. It was very predictable, and here it's like a whole new adventure. So I've chosen that. I made peace with that. It's going to be different. It's going to be confusing at times and an adjustment, but I think it's much more interesting. And the children are getting the culture. I'm getting the language. I think there's a lot of good here. I've realized you can be happy or miserable anywhere. You know, there's things that are great about the United States that I miss, and there's also problems that I don't miss, and same here. So, no, I really feel like we chose this, and, you know, there's some days where I'm like, what am I doing here? How did I end up here? But most of the time, I'm so grateful for experiencing the country, you know.
You mentioned you were the teacher. What did you teach?
So I was a high school English teacher.
Okay.
But I worked at a lot of alternative schools where kids could do projects. And I really love that, like something that they're interested in. They could do a project on skateboarding or graffiti art and get credit like that. So I really like working with kids who are, you know, excited about something.
If you could bring something to Bosnia from New York and take something from Bosnia and take to the New York people, what would be?
Oh, great question. Dobro pitanje. I think if I could bring anything from New York, it would be a lot of the food. Like, we're missing here Asian food, first and foremost, like Vietnamese, Thai, Korean, all of that there is very affordable and everywhere, and it's so delicious, and I really miss that here. Also great Mexican food. Like, there's just a lot of types of food that doesn't have here, so I would bring that from New York, because New York has top food. Bringing back the other way, they have actually pita and cevapi. You can get that in New York. So I wouldn't necessarily say that. But since having kids, I think we noticed when we went back that a lot of like that childhood that both me and Melly experienced, where you're out on the street playing with all your friends and stuff, a lot of that has gone away in the United States. Kids are inside, they're watching TV, they're playing video games. And we were surprised that there was like not a lot of just people playing outside as much as when we were kids. So I would like to bring that mentality there. And also, we definitely don't have this chafe mentality there. And it's something very special about, like, when Melly's father is drinking his coffee, he's just very chill and just watches the world go by and enjoys it. And when he eats eats very slowly and takes breaks, and it takes a long time. And I think that's kind of cool that we've lost that a lot.
How do you see the future of our country?
Poof. Well, for me, I really hope and pray that that it continues to grow and improve. You know, I'm not an expert on the politics, but obviously there's many problems with corruption and politicians, and I've felt like a lot of energy and protesting and people voting and making changes. So I'm very hopeful that it just continues to go up. Maybe it moves towards joining the EU, I don't know. I see a lot of new development. There's new businesses, new buildings being built, and so I really feel like a lot of people are investing here, that we're not the only ones who think this place has the potential to be much bigger and better than it is. So that's my hope, that my children grow up here and don't just want to leave. Like, a lot of people now just want to leave and go somewhere else. I hope they grow up here and see it as a place that they could stay. You should interview my parents, because they're 80 years old and they moved here. It's really amazing because I mean, I hate to say it, but they'll probably die here, you know, like they chose to spend the rest of their life here to be with us. It was a big decision, and amazing because like in America they had a house, 3 cars, garage, everything, and they sold like everything to live in this tiny little apartment, you know, and that was a big change for them. But I think they saw the opportunity, same as we did, that this is a really cool place. They can have this new adventure, and I think it's like been a whole new chapter in their life, you know.
Yeah,
I meet people all the time who came back here and they said, oh, my parents would never come, and I said, you should talk to my parents because they'll convince you to come. My dad, he loves to go to the gym, so he goes to the gym like for 3-4 hours, like almost every day. And he's like famous at the gym because he's this old American guy who's lifting weights at the gym, you know. I think more and more people are realizing they're coming back from Germany, they're coming back from places and feeling like, wow, I'm working all the time there. Maybe the people in this country are not as warm and friendly as Bosnia. You know, I've heard that from a lot of people who went to Switzerland and these Nordic countries, and they just miss the culture. And finally, you know, but sometimes you have to go and experience that to realize that that's not everything.